So when I first applied to become an assistant professor, I told my boss, my future boss, at the interview that in 5 years I would acquire and lead an EU research project. Now, EU research projects are among the most highly prestigious kind of research or academic projects you can have, that you could lead. Typically, when there's a call for applications for a specific project, EU research projects will have an acceptance rate of like 3% or less. So it's really, really, really prestigious. The process for applying is intense. It's absolutely insane. It takes months, sometimes years of planning, writing. It's an immense undertaking. And the faculty that I eventually started working with, they had never led an EU research project before. So I had the kind of the strength or the, foolishness, maybe a little bit of both, to say, yes, I will make sure that in 5 years we're leading our own EU research project. Now, fast forward a few years. I'm working with an international network focused on gender equality, digital gender equality. And so I started kind of very low key, and I was just trying to connect some of the work that I had been doing around disability rights to this issue of digital gender equality, and just kind of mashing these two fields up and saying, look, this is kind of what kind of sort of contribution I could make. And it was shortly after I started working with this group that there was a call for proposals from the EU focused on gender and social innovation. So I said, what a great opportunity. I have this international network of potential partners, and I have this call for funding that I could hopefully maybe even get. And so I said, let's try to put this together. So I wrote up a really quick one-page concept note based more or less on the call. And this is the way usually grant proposals go. You look at whatever the grantor is telling you, and you just give them that, only a little bit tweaked to kind of put your own spin on things, maybe throw in your own X factor. And so we had an annual meeting with this group of this network of digital gender equality researchers and advocates. And so at that meeting, we pitched this idea, hey, we're putting together this kind of consortium for this EU research project proposal. Anybody interested, let us know. We got a few emails saying, hey, yeah, I want to participate. And that was fine. So we got a few participants there. We went to a networking event in Brussels, got a few more participants there. We started allocating the budgets and setting up the different work activities. And then COVID hit, and we're all in this situation still now today where everything is socially isolated and distance working and distance learning, and everything's online. And so I had lots of time on my hand. I had previous years traveled about 30 weeks in a year. And so I had all this time that I wasn't sitting in airports, that I wasn't sitting in train stations, that I wasn't sitting in hotel rooms, kind of that, those periods of time that just end up being empty. So I ended up with a lot of time on my schedule, and so I just continued to work on the concept of this project proposal. I met with all of the partners on a fairly regular basis and tried to extract some insights from them, but I really took the lead and tried to really put my fingers into this proposal and try to extract as much value as I thought I could out of the ideas that were involved. So I really got stuck in on the minutia. I spent hours and hours on silly things like the borders of tables. So how thick they should be, what color they should be, how they should be different on the heading versus the rest of the table. And I planned. Every morning I would get up, I would plan what I'm going to do for the day, what I'm going to do for that week, and try to project out a couple of weeks. And I would replan. And I was tweaking everything down to the smallest detail, especially the budget, even just 10 euros. I was kind of like, should we put it there or should we put it there? And the project description continued to evolve. I started doing a lot of graphic design to make it as kind of interesting and compelling a case as possible. And I just spent the entire first lockdown obsessing about this proposal. And then we submitted. And grant proposals are always kind of you submit, you celebrate, and then you just forget about it because most of them aren't accepted. Most of them don't get funded. So I picked up another proposal in the meantime. I relaxed over the summer, and then I got an email after the summer from the EU, and I was confused. First of all, the email was written in really kind of jargon speak, and so I didn't quite get what they were saying, but I was kind of thinking that it had gotten funded. And so I sent the email to a couple of colleagues at the university and I said, did we get the funding? Is this what happened here? And it was true. We had gotten the funding. So that was the first EU project that the faculty that I was working at, had ever gotten funded as a leader, as a project leader. And it was focused on gender and innovation. So this was a great chance to solidify this field within our institution. And I would get to lead that project. And so it was a real feeling of, it was an amazing feeling of sort of triumph, of success. And it was a feeling of pride and kind of humility to approach this piece of work, not being about my own kind of satisfaction or self-glorification, but being about the impact that we can make in this project. Now, the project is still going on, and it is evolving every step of the way, and it continues to be a labor of love for me. Not even a labor of love, it's a privilege of love. It's something that I'm just really grateful that I get to do. So I think the takeaway here is this: COVID has been terrible. It has profoundly affected the world around us. And that's not just the death toll that's associated with it. That's all the economic, personal, psychological tolls that it's taken on us. But for some of us, me in particular, it's given me space to start focusing in on things that matter. It really gave me, it freed up a lot of time to focus in on the things that I think are the most important. And so if you find yourself struggling in this time, or if you ever just find yourself struggling in the future, maybe step back and try to think about what matters most to you and where and how you can dedicate your time to those activities. Don't ever be afraid to say no to things. I think a lot of people have this FOMO, this fear of missing out, and it keeps them from saying no to things that they just aren't or shouldn't be doing. And just make your choices intentional. Stop thinking about the things that you have to do as things that I have to do, but that I'm choosing to do them because there's a certain thing you need or you get out of it. So I choose to do my job because I need to get paid. I need money to afford the lifestyle that I want to live. You can apply this to any aspects of your life. So make your choices intentional.